With Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Chancellor Jeremy Hunt expected to raise taxes for everyone in a bid to bring down the national debt. According to the latest reports, a black hole in the public finances estimated to be around £50 billion, with concerns as to how the government wants to fill it. Growing pressure, indeed, to raise perhaps more through a windfall tax on energy firms. Let's remember, BP earlier reported record rises in its global profits. Let's turn to our economics and business editor, Liam Halligan, once more with On the Money. Liam, you won't mind me saying you're an old hand at this, and we have seen these things before.
Or just a hand.
Or just a hand. They run these things up the flagpole, and then when it comes to it, it's not quite as bad as we were expecting, and that's part of the political sort of massaging and process. Oh, well, perhaps it's not quite as bad. There were those indications when the gilts, the yields sort of were better for the government, that the debt figure meant that black hole could be maybe 35 billion rather than 50. Still huge figures, but it gives them some wriggle room.
It does. So what's happening is borrowing costs for the government are falling with Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt now in charge. They're calling it the dullness dividend rather than the rather unfortunately named moron premium that was in before. Very unkind, I think, to the former Prime Minister and her Chancellor, with the markets then insisting that the government pay much more to borrow money. It's now cheaper for the government to borrow. That could potentially mean tens of billions of pounds less spent each year by the state on debt interest on our £2.2 trillion of debt. 2,200 billion. Each billion is 1,000 million, of course, of debt that we're paying interest on. And I agree with you, Mark. There is a bit of a softening up exercise going on. We were looking at the papers, weren't we? Dire warning, higher tax to pay to plug debt. But this is producing a bit of a backlash. I've been talking to some Tory MPs this morning, and indeed some Labour MPs as well. I don't think the government will have any trouble getting the legislation for its autumn statement through the House of Commons.
November the 17th.
But there will be pushback, because a lot of people are thinking, look, the economy is slowing down. We've just had some pretty difficult manufacturing numbers, which we'll come to in a moment. Just to finish this thought, though, why would you want to increase tax a lot on consumers and particularly on businesses when the economy is slowing? Why do you want to raise corporation tax from 19 to 25% on small and medium-sized companies that were hammered by lockdown?
Right. That means you look at spending. Now, apparently, the Cabinet were being told that they will prioritise rather NHS spending. Where else could they find the savings from? Because, I mean, certainly Sir Charlie Bean, former Bank of England Deputy Governor, there's no low-hanging fruit anymore, he said.
There isn't any low-hanging fruit. When they want to pretend they're going to save money, they talk about efficiency savings and cracking down on tax evasion and so on. But let me just come back to those manufacturing numbers, Mark. We talked about them in the last hour, but I've since put them in a graphic, and here they are. In June 2022, this is the PMI manufacturing index. You can see in June 2022, it was 52.8. And I put green there because that means that suggests the economy is growing. That means more than half of all manufacturing industry business owners think that there's going to be economic expansion going forward. In September 2022, last month, that was 48.4. So indicating negative growth, less than 50. And look at that October 2022 figure, 46.2. That's the lowest figure since the middle of lockdown in the middle of 2020. Now, manufacturing, it isn't the whole economy, but it is about a fifth of our economy, and it tends to be a part of the economy where there are well-paid jobs. It's the part of the economy that really boosts part of our national accounts. It helps prop up the pound because we export.
The bellwether that you spoke about,
Yeah, and so if the manufacturing sector is looking pretty concerned, that survey was the result of detailed questioning of manufacturing leaders, business owners and managers, what they think. That's a really valuable statistic to have. And that's my concern. And that's why the Bank of England may not raise rates as much as we thought it would when it comes to this Thursday. And it may be why, certainly not within the Treasury, but certainly within Downing Street, they may be thinking twice about this big tax raid.
Pushing it too far.